Hey there, Leo. Let's talk about what 2025 has in store for you. And this is really set to be a year of pushing through any personal barriers that are holding you back from achieving the abundance that you want. And you really start out the beginning of the year with this forefront on the mind because Mars, the planet of direction and motivation, has retrograded in your sign at the end of 2024. That started December 6th. And when that planet retrogrades, it really has us looking back to our past actions. And what this is really asking you is where have you acted or not acted at times when you needed to? How did you act? How did you react? How did you respond? And there's a lot of going back to that with where did you need to get your feet moving when maybe you didn't have the confidence or the courage to do it. It also is going back to how you stand up and you assert yourself at times when it's called for, right? Are you the lion that's attacking and going crazy? Or are you more passive and you hide away and you don't let your needs be known? As Mars is retrograding in your sign, from that December 6th until the February 23rd time frame, you may be finding that you're tested a little bit more. It's almost like the universe is hitting you with like a red hot poker to purposely get you to respond because it's asking you to reassess your whole process of asserting yourself, of asserting your needs, and doing it in a way that not only makes it so you're in standing in your power and that you're heard, but also that you're not overwhelming and taking the power of the other person that you are talking with. So it definitely has that energy to it, but it also has you starting out 2025 in a very introspective way. Retro has us looking to the past. So definitely the energy returns for you. I think you may feel that because Mars does rule our energy levels, when it retrogrades in your sun, you may be finding that you're a little bit more exhausted than normal. And that's just because it's getting you reset for 2025 because there is a lot of shift and change coming. And so this is just having you go through this period of reassessment in a lot of ways. So energy levels return in April by the time Mars goes direct, and then it goes back into Leo. Will be in that April May time frame, and you'll have a clearer idea of how to move your feet forward in a lot of different ways. But in that interim time, if you are faced with a situation where you need to stand up for yourself, know that you have the ability, really lean into what your higher self is telling you. And I think you'll be surprised at how much you can change the landscape of finding your personal power and getting that across. Now let's move into career because this is where a lot of energy is going to be happening, career and money. So Uranus is the planet of dramatic shift and change. It brings us to areas where we are authentically living our lives the way that we should be. And it looks to areas where maybe we are stuck in comfort zones, or maybe we're kind of going down a path that isn't necessarily true and correct and authentic for us. Uranus has a way of shifting the landscape of things to make it so that we are routed back to something that's more fitting for us. And it ultimately is liberating us from the chains of the past. Now, what Uranus is doing here is Uranus and Taurus is moving through that 10th house. And since 2018, it's been making its impact known in this house. This is the house of career, this is the house of life purpose. So, starting in 2018, there was this push that I need to do something that's more true and authentic to who I am. Uranus is the entrepreneur planet, so maybe it's something where you've dabbled with doing some side projects, things that are a passion project, but it's not necessarily how you primarily make your money. As Uranus has been going through, it's been showing you how possible it is for you to make that money, or just maybe it's giving you that push to be more independent in career, but it's also bringing these ups and downs cycles in career as well. So if you found some uncertainty, unpredictability in there, now you're going to get a preview of what that's like with Uranus leaving. right? Especially if you've been going through unpredictability at the place that you work. Maybe it's the universe's way of showing you that there's something so much better out there waiting for you, um, as well. You may find that this trigger had started in 2018 with career, and you find that this is the year before Uranus finally leaves in 2026 and moves into Gemini, but it dips its toes in Gemini this year. You might be finding that you may make a radical career change between now and next year as well too, but something that's going to be more fitting for you. And especially if it's something, if you're jumping into an entrepreneurial realm, I think you're going to be really surprised at how well this is going to go, because it's almost like the universe is pushing you into it with the influence of what it's been doing. It took a long time for Uranus to get there. It had never been there in our lifetimes, right? It takes 80 years for Uranus to go around the sun, where we take 365 days. So Uranus moving through Taurus is a once in a lifetime thing for all of us Leos. I'm a Leo. I get it, all of us Leos. And so these slower moving planets, they make the major impacts for us. So you know that it's setting you up. And if you're meant to be an entrepreneur, this is the exact push that you're going to need. You just got to trust in yourself in that process. Now, when it comes to money, that is where the eclipses are going to be happening this year for you, the second house and the eighth house. Now, eclipses in astrology are where new beginnings are starting to come through. And with the node, or with the eclipses, the north node and the south node in the sky like to follow. And so eclipses work in a 10-year interval between the signs. And then we have the nodes that like to follow behind it, but they work in an 18-year interval. So eclipses are where the old outdated things come to light and new changes and new beginnings are coming through. The nodes, north node or a true node, is our soul's direction and the area that we need to be heading towards. The south node is more of our karmic past energy, something that we've already done, and we're trying to move away from this lifetime. Now, as these guys are working in the signs of Virgo and in Pisces this year, this is a time frame of really looking to our old outdated belief systems that are holding us back from moving forward and making progress, living the abundant life that we want to. It shows us when these eclipses happen, the dynamic between how our thoughts really do create our reality. And so, where this is going to be occurring is a pretty monumental thing, right? In this house of finances, on this side, it's where you make your money. And over here in the eighth house, that's the money that you owe and the debts that you have. And so, if you feel that you're kind of stuck in this land of debt, this side over here where the eclipses are happening are saying there are these opportunities that are working to bring you more money. You just have to believe in yourself, believe in your talents, skills, gifts, and abilities, and know that you deserve to be charged accordingly, or charge accordingly for the skills you have. Maybe that means charging more money. Maybe that means asking for a raise. Maybe that means taking on a new career. It's getting paid for the value that you bring to life. That's the other thing the second house has to deal with, is our own self-worth and the value that we hold for ourselves. The more that we value ourselves, the more it takes away from the debts over here. And that is exactly where the south node is rocking and rolling, is let's make sure that we're removing old outdated beliefs that we don't need anymore, south node, to make our manifesting dreams a reality. Really, that's what these have to do. So this is definitely a year where we're going to be finding that um, these eclipses are trying to bring new energy in terms of the ways that you make money, your views around money, your views for how you feel you're deserving of certain things. That is coming to the surface as well. Now, um, as we break those karmic cycles around debts, keep in mind too that that can also be karmic debt. Maybe this isn't money debt. Maybe there are some past life karmic energies that are holding you back from walking into the abundance. These south node energies are also able to help make some breakthroughs to remove these karmic debts. So whether you're doing that through hypnosis, whether you're doing that intentionally, breaking vows, These are things that you're going to be able to do this year even stronger. So now let's move on to the house of home and family. Now, with Jupiter moving into Cancer this year, that's a pretty big thing. That's a 12-year cycle where it takes, 12 years for Jupiter to go around the sun. And now it's back into Cancer, and that's the sign that deals with home and family. And as it does, Jupiter loves to expand, grow, and heal. Cancer deals with home, family, early childhood roots, our parents, our emotional health, our security. All of those things fall into that area of Cancer. And as Jupiter goes through, it helps to show us where the cracks are in our family relationships. It helps us to look at who we consider to be family. And it really works to heal different levels of where there has been damage done. Now, especially one of the things that Jupiter likes to do as it transits the sign of Cancer is it looks at generational traumas and it looks at generational belief systems that are instilled one to the next to the next. And then we inherit these beliefs, and they're not even ours, but we've adopted them because it becomes a bit of a family trajectory, right? And especially when we have epigenetics that get involved, where traumas actually get stored in the DNA and physically those traits are passed down, and that strain is passed down from one generation to the next. Jupiter coming through has the ability to let us heal that. We bring this to awareness, we bring it to light, we see these repetitive cycles. This is a way for us to be able to break it. So there's a really positive energy as Jupiter transits that house as well. Now, another thing to keep in mind too is that as Mars gets moving, remember we said it was retrograde, it takes 2 years for this guy to go around the sun. It's hitting these areas down here that deal with home and family and children and relationship where it hasn't been for 2 years. So let's say you wanted to get some projects going 2 years ago at your physical home, or maybe you wanted to initiate some changes with family 2 years ago and nothing has really changed. This is where Mars coming back around again re-energizes those things, and it makes it so maybe you sell that house, buy that house, remodel that house, or just remodel the family dynamic as well. Those are things that are going to be happening in terms of home and family. Now let's move on to relationship, and this is a really big one because Pluto finally leaving Capricorn was a massive thing for all of us. That reinvented the structures of everything that we know around us. Old systems fell away. And now we're in this process of reinventing what that is going to look like moving forward with greater transparency. That's all the way on a personal level, all the way up to government and global levels. And we can see that happening. We can see that happening now. But where this occurring is happening for Pluto moving into Aquarius, your opposing sign is in that house of marriage, partnerships, and relationships. I tell you what, Pluto moving into Aquarius wants new. It wants change. And so it's trying to radically transform over the next 20 years as it cycles through that seventh house, just beginning there. It's really working on reinventing how relationships work for you. Now, um, definitely profound shifts are going on. You're letting go of the self-defeating patterns that prevent intimacy and connections from really happening here, from you being able to really receive the type of love, affection, attention that you need as a Leo. You deserve romance. You deserve these things. You rule the heart in astrology, and you have a big heart. So you deserve to have your heart filled in return. Pluto gives you that ability to restructure how relationships work to ensure that you're able to get that. Absolutely. So that's a positive thing that's going to be occurring. And I think this is going to be a year where you really see those shifts. Maybe this brings more permanence into a relationship. Maybe for some people, this may end relationships. It's all going to be different, but regardless, the landscape of how relationships look is beginning to change, right? So now let's move on to the next big thing that's happening, and that's Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries. These are slower moving planets too. And like we said, the slower moving planets are the ones that are going to make the biggest impact for us as they transit through um, the solar system. And we just talked about how that 248-year cycle of Pluto moving into Aquarius is affecting relationship. Now we're looking at how the 220-year cycle of Neptune and the 30-year cycle of Saturn, at the same time, they are moving into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. So they are going way over the wheel again and starting out this process of reinvention and rebirth in a wonderful new way. Saturn is the planet of long term planning, it is the planet of longevity, it is the planet of structures. And as it moves into Aries for the next 2.5 years, it is very much having us focused on rebuilding correct structures under our feet. Now, the other thing too is that Neptune is that planet that likes for us to dream. It wants for us to dream into being what the new beginnings are. That's Aries, new beginnings. Neptune is the dreamer. Not only are we dreaming these things into being, we're putting them into practical action, which is Saturn. So making dreams reality. That's Neptune and Saturn. This is going to be a long time influence, and it's going to be happening for 14 years. And where it's happening for Leo is in that ninth house. Now, the ninth house is the land of expanding yourself. It's about learning, it's about growth, it's about faith in yourself, faith in the universe, faith in everything, right? And so, as we have this energy of making our dreams a reality going through there, this is a time frame for you to really find who it is that you are and what it is that you want, because you can make it into being. Opportunities to teach, to travel, to study, to write, to publish, because the ninth house also deals with that. This type of alignment helps for you to bring those gifts and abilities out to the world and to be heard by the masses, right? Pulling you into new horizons really truly is what this is. And if these are dreams that you've had, you can really make them come into being under the influence of this energy moving through. Now, we talked about Jupiter working to heal family dynamics, where Jupiter is actually coming through that planet of luck, opportunity, expansion. It is moving through that 12th house as it goes through Cancer this year. That, well, it's finishing up its last leg in your 11th house of Gemini, really connecting you with the right types of people to help move you forward, especially when it's coming to career, friends that are more fitting for who you are now, that type of thing. But as June hits and it moves into Cancer, we're going to be going into that 12th house. That's your house of your subconscious mind. You may be finding that you're clarifying your belief systems all around. There's all these influences that are really having you to reassess what you believe in, who you believe in, how you believe in yourself, how you believe that the universe is going to come through for you. All of that is really subject to change, right? And with it being that 12th house of the unknown and karmic energies, Jupiter coming through helps to heal that as well. So if you are ready to release some of these outdated belief systems, you've got it in a couple of different places that are ready to work with you to heal the past to move forward into the future. Another thing too is revising and reworking karmic contracts that you may have as well, whether that's relationship karmic contracts, friendship karmic contracts, vows of poverty, whatever it is. As Jupiter goes through that 12th house, they are subject to revision and removal if it need be. So that's definitely something that will be coming to the forefront as well. Now let's talk about the moon cycles. Moon cycles are when we can manifest what we want, release what we don't need. We can do this every single month at those new moons and full moons. But there are certain new moons and full moons that are going to work a little bit stronger for us, especially when there are moons. So the Leo new moon, when you want to manifest things that you want, that Leo new moon is going to fall on July 24th this year. The Leo full moon, letting go of the things that aren't working, especially those outdated belief systems, recognizing those blocks that are coming up and preventing you from having the intimacy that you want. They're blocking the abundance that you want. These things surface, you let them go in that February 12th full moon. That's going to be very strong. Now, we're going to talk about birthdays. Now, if I don't say your birthday, it doesn't mean that this is going to be a horrible year. Nothing's going to happen for you. It's not like that. Maybe all of these resonate for you. Maybe your birthday doesn't even show up in here, but they all sound familiar. Maybe none of them sound familiar. Whatever it is, I'm taking the planetary energies and how they are impacting sun for that for this year. Now, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I always say that for all things spiritual, right? That's a saying, go with it. Before we get into this, if you want to see how these things that I've talked about are actually impacting your personal chart, I have a link below. Click that. You can get a reading with me and we can go over that. So now let's talk about those birthdays. July 22nd to the 26th, Pluto was out there opposing your sun. Pluto was that planet of transformation, the one that's reforming relationship. This could be a year where that really comes to the surface. And it's definitely an intense year. We're going to say that as you explore the emerging identity and reveal the new aspects of yourself, relationship dynamics around power and control, they may be coming to the surface. You may go through periods of hibernation and then action, then hibernation, and then action again. And that's okay because you were in this process of reformation and reinvention. Finding your power is the theme. Finding your inner power and not dimming your light for the better good of other people. That is the theme of this year. July 22nd to the 24th, Neptune is working with your sun. This is a year where your creativity is going to be craziness. Just absolutely wonderful. If you've been lacking that creativity, it is definitely coming back. Lean into it because I tell you what, this is a year where at the same time, you're almost going to feel like you're walking through the fog. Life is going to be confusing. For one moment, you're going to feel like you know exactly what you want and you know what you need to do, and then you're going to be confused and you're going to have no energy to do it. It's just a weird situation with that. But the creativity, leaning into that, leaning into your spirituality, it's going to diffuse that type of confusing energy and actually bring you the answers that you're looking for. So trust your higher self, trust your intuition. August 14th to the 23rd, Uranus is squaring your sun. Uranus is that planet that wants us to be true and authentic to who we are. So this is definitely a restless year that you are looking for change, you are looking for freedom, you are looking for new things that are new and authentic to you. Now, you are being called to take more risks this year, which may be a little bit disconcerting, but take that Leo energy and have the courage to do it because when you take those risks, that's when you're going to get those rewards. You will absolutely know the ones to take advantage of and the ones to stay away from. If you think this is the way of looking at it, if you start thinking, well, this is the way I always do stuff, I should keep doing that, that's a sign you need to not do it. It's ready for something new because on the other side of what you haven't done before is the growth and the change that you're looking for. So I say do something different and you'll be amazed at what this year has to bring. So thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time.